is going through a rezone and a change. We're going to talk about the newest thing the council has approved over the last week. Stay tuned. And how it affects the value of your property. Hello.
Mark, good evening. How are you?
Very good, you.
Can I say back by popular demand? The combination. We haven't been on Monday Night News for a while, the two of us.
Mate, it's been a long time. And it gets such huge numbers when we're on, Steve. It's just
I know.
crazy.
People can relate to us.
Yeah, the girls love when you come on, Steve.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
My wife will be glad to hear that. So look, we've got a pretty interesting topic tonight, Mark. We're talking about obviously a big changes coming to the Northern Beaches,
Yes.
and the target is glamorous Brookvale. It's going to get a makeover and bits and pieces too. You've obviously probably heard about this for a while. From what I heard, a lot of this conversation started back in 2015, went through some different planning steps. Overall, there's sometimes mixed feedback and mixed emotions from the community.
Always.
Let's talk. Shall we just jump straight into it? Well, what are we talking about doing in Brookvale?
So we're getting a lot of calls from people at the moment because we do industrial, we do residential, we do all forms of commercial, we do developments, and people are saying, look, you guys understand Brookie, the market, what's happening. Can you tell us how that affects the value of our property? I've got a unit in Brookvale, I've got a house in Brookvale, I've got a factory in Brookvale. Can you tell us how it affects the value of the property? So people are finding it very hard to get the information, to distinguish the information, and to understand the information. So we thought tonight, let's just see if we can have a hack, and even if we can give people that extra inch of knowledge, we're good.
Yep. All right, great idea. Let's talk about first what's happening in Brookvale, and then we'll talk about how that's going to impact everything moving forwards. But essentially, when was it? A couple of weeks ago, Mark? That
Wednesday night. 1.5 weeks ago.
1.5 weeks ago, Wednesday night. So there was a council meeting. Obviously, Brookvale's been on the discussion board for quite a while, and the latest essential meeting that they've had is probably as closest as we've been to developing a new and revitalised Brookvale. But from what I could see, guys, ladies, gentlemen, the plan of Brookvale essentially is to but is to focus on 5 main components from what we can see. And a lot of it is kind of main road focused around Pittwater Road, and it's set into 5 cores, 5 groups, I should say. And the first one, they're labelling the core, and that's that sector around Warringah Mall, essentially opposite the Beeline bus stop. Over there now, I know you and I had some good discussions. Height, they're looking to modify the height over there from 4 to 12 stories. Mixed use, town centre. What do you think, Mark, about that?
I love it because there's more units to sell for a real estate agent.
That's true. There's a big emphasis from what I could see on town on open space as well, like community space and everything through there. Office, they want to kind of bring in office space into there, obviously keep the retail hub, and then looking to bring in even extra residential through there. So 4 to 12 stories potentially for the sector, which is around, I don't know, I'd say the old medical centre, if we can reference that, at Warringah Mall.
That's around, what's that for? 3 times of those. It's not far off Meriton.
Meriton DY.
Meriton DY came in at 15, so it's 3 stories off that. So that's serious height running through that corridor. And it's going to be running through the corridor where the basic Warringah Mall is at the moment. It's a win for Warringah Mall. It's also a win for the bus depot. Now, not only did they get the height that they needed and wanted, but they got a thing called floor space ratio, which is FSR. They got an FSR of 9:1 in parts of those areas. So that's going to be enormous density. But Steve, if we're talking, so they're wanting to, in this particular plan, they're wanting to go from 400 units that was earmarked for that corridor. They want to go out to 1,300 units marked for that corridor.
Yeah.
How's that going to affect the value of someone that's in a 2-bedroom unit in Old road, for example, how's that going to, if you're thinking of selling your unit, do you just sell the bloody thing now, or do you sort of wait until, and just go, you know what, it doesn't really matter, I'm going to do this on my clock?
Yeah, I think good question, and we heard a lot of those questions with Meriton in DY when that took place, and obviously we had a few developments across the road from us here on Pittwater Road as well. I think, look, as always, you should be buying and selling to your own time frame as opposed to what's happening around you. But I see it quite positively when I've seen it. You look at what the Meriton Lighthouse development brought into DY, along with these other Osprey and Oceana, these other newer developments in DY. And essentially what I really like about it is, one, it really tidied up DY. So we saw that main area that it kind of sat neglected for a while, clean that up. But then there's also the developer contributions, which were reinvested back into the suburb. So every time a developer builds something, he's got to allocate a fund to council for the purpose of being reinvested. So look at DY, we've got nice parks. They've tidied up, beautiful Howard Avenue walkway all the way down to the beachfront. The beachfront's amazing. So the injection of funds to be spent back into improving the infrastructure in the suburb has been immense as well. And that relates to property prices directly. So, it improves the attractiveness, the desirability, the functionality of a suburb. And this is what I believe is going to happen to residential real estate in Brookvale. Should I be concerned? Probably not. Look, you're going to be, if you are competing with those properties when they sell, they're going to be, a little bit newer. So probably sitting at a higher price point in the market. And it's not that's, huge. It's a drop in the ocean, to be honest, when you look at, the number of properties that they could potentially deliver. The demand, if you, again, reference DY, is still incredibly high. And, I think it's all really, really good. Really good. What do you think?
So, look, it's improvement, and I think that improvement has always hurt. It happened in Warriewood, in the Northern Beaches, and people were spewing. People were going absolutely bananas over it.
Yeah.
It happened with Meriton and DY. People went ludicrous over it. We heard it all the time. How can they allow that height? 360 goddamn units. I can't believe that. I think the proof's in the pudding that when you put jobs into an area, when you put infrastructure into an area, when you put the areas generally prosper. They don't fail. But it's a hard road in planning. And it's a hard road in building, trucks, excavation, stuff like that. But that product, the byproduct years on, like I've got to say, looking how the revitalisation of DY itself, it's been sensational for most of parts. So the people living there and the community come to visit. So don't forget, from councils, they're bringing in these, not only these one-off fees, these contributions, but they're bringing in an extra. Per unit, if there's 1,000 units, there's going to be rates coming in of 1,300 units, for example, per quarter, per year. It's just adding more fluff to it all. So, I understand that the council likes it because they're making $1. I understand the big winners are going to be Ringamall and the bus depot are out of it, but. Yeah, I think we're okay. And the message out there to people that own in the area, Steve, is DY already has 10,000 units built. Brookvale's already got 1,000 units built. Manlyvale's got a couple of thousand units built. Manly's got 5,000 on units built. Like, in the grid of where these units are going to be dropped, it's not really a big pool of apartments being put into that grid. Furthermore, they're staggered over a period. They're not dropped in the same month of the same year.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
That's probably over a 10-year period by the time they're finally developed. Maybe there's a couple of unit blocks there that will just never be developed in our lifetime because, I own it, but I still don't want to develop it, stuff you sort of attitude. Steve, got another question. That's that corridor where the Beeline bus is. You've talked about 5 zones. What are the 4 other zones?
So zone number 2 that they're going to focus on, again, is going to be more of a residential blend, and that's Rogers Street. they've identified it just as its own zone, Roger Street. Again, looking 7 to 8 levels in there. You and I are pretty familiar with it. We work on the development that's in the old Brookvale Hotel car park, 23 Roger Street. But we've already noticed residential coming into that pocket. There's going to be an emphasis more on lifestyle and residential, still maintaining a little bit of the lighter commercial through there, but that's going to increase 7 to 8 levels. At the moment, I think Roger Street, and I might get it wrong, I think that's close to 7 levels as it stands over there at the moment. So that's zone 2. Zone 3 is Pittwater Road. So that'll be properties facing onto Pittwater Road. Again, 7 to 8 stories through there. Real emphasis on cycleways, the external facade of Pittwater Road, redoing the footpaths. Wimborne Road, the car park that runs off Wimborne Road, they're talking about making into like an evening entertainment kind of zone as well. So yeah, that's 2 of the others. And then you'll still have Pittwater. Sorry, mate, let me know if you want me to slow down, Mark. But then your industrial sectors. So essentially, if you're looking on the eastern side of Pittwater Road, that will primarily stay more of the heavier industry, because at the end of the day, we still need workplaces. They are going to improve the height through there to 4 stories, and again, that'll maintain a combination of offices and heavier industry. Sorry, mate, question.
Massive. That's massive.
So got to maintain that work hub.
Yeah. Now, something that people that I've spoken to developers and landowners in the area that they were disappointed with council's decision last week was all of those things that are pretty much approved from council from now on. They were disappointed that there's a thing called a floor space ratio, an FSR. And even though they've gone through and master stroke this zoning all the way through, and they've master stroke these heights all the way through, you actually can't build them under the FSR controls in some of those sites. So the FSR was 9 to 1 when it came through where Westfields is, and that corridor of the B-line bus. And the theory or methodology of that was, this is the transport hub. This is where people should be given the density to go high with units. And it also creates a corridor when you come into the suburb. They call it a gateway effect. So it gateways or hugs you when you come into Brookvale from Manly and from Manlyvale and Lambie and those areas. Makes sense. Yep. But as you go through that corridor, the gateway will drop, and that's that area that we're talking where the old banks were, and they weren't given the FSR densities or that they needed. So yes, they got the heights, but I think you may find that people can't build much more than what's already there, given the FSR control. So that's going to be tough, real tough.
So not a real concern of overpopulation or anything like that. You don't think with that, Mark?
Well, with the FSR that they've done, and with the height controls they've done, they've still mud mapped that they can get 1,300 units into the suburb off the back of that. But there's particular people on particular sites that were saying, as soon as I get this zoning, I'm good to go, and they didn't, because they didn't get the FSR. The real winners is the last one I said, which is that 2 stories to 4 stories.
Yeah, and that's also now for the western side of Pittwater Road. It's primarily kind of warehousing and light industry, light commercial. That's going up from, I think, up to 4 stories on that side as well. So commercial's a real winner. From what I could see, existing residential's pretty much staying as it is. So Shackle Avenue, around, there wasn't any discussion actually, surprisingly, around the Leagues Club. And that kind of pocket, because that's been a hot topic for a while. But I didn't see anything in council's paperwork directly addressing that, but I know that's a topic at the moment as well.
They left the Oval alone, and they left the Leagues Club alone. I thought that was a really interesting move. I've spoken to the higher powers of council about that, and it was quite interesting because they say that the intersection, the most worst affected and most choked intersection on the northern beaches that takes up the most delay is Warringah Road and Pittwater Road and Harbord Road. That intersection is an absolute crime of an intersection. It is too congested. The wait times are out of control for bus transport, for commuters, for everything. So they say that when they sort that out, that's when they'll open up that corridor to those other places to take more density. But until that point, that ramp is going to be a big problem. So what they want to see is a overpass and an underpass situation. So where you saw
Warringah Road, perhaps,
Forest Way and Warringah Road meet, that was a $185 million upgrade that they did there, and it basically meant you could turn onto either road without having to stop. There was no traffic lights, and those ramps cost a fortune because they ramp back as much as maybe a quarter of a kilometre or half a kilometre of concrete. A lot of excavation, there's land acquisitions needed to do that. So I think there's a bit more programming to get done on that intersection before they can allow us to look at things like the Leagues Club and the thing. That's what I heard. Could be totally wrong.
Oh, look, I'd say that based on this news coming out, a week and a half ago, that's probably something in the plans. It's in the pipeline. Just a matter of addressing, a few concerns that they have with it. But they're kind of the five zones there. Now, if I'm a property owner, again, property values, what did we see here in DY, Mark, after Meriton completed? What was your feeling on property values for sale, say? Yeah. And the one thing I would say is if you are in the rental market at the time of completion, when one of these guys does come to completion, you probably want to be finding a tenant before a construction completes, because we know with projects that we've jumped on, Mark, that, we'll be letting out, 30, 40 apartments within kind of a 3-week span. There is a very short term, but it's a very short term flood of property on the market. So if you're going to be renting your property around that time, do it a little bit earlier if you can. That's my advice. Yeah,
good advice. But I really do think that we're overall better for the area, good for jobs, good for infrastructure. And something that I haven't said that I wanted to say at the beginning that I forgot was Brookvale is like Alexandria, and Alexandria really evolved into an eclectic, cool, thriving little ecosystem, and it was just warehouses. It didn't do any residential, and the way they dovetailed in the residential into Alexandria, the transport. I think it's something that we should be really proud of, and I think Brookvale is really on that now. We're starting to see these pubs, the beer breweries coming in, and the community's loving it. They are thriving from it. So it's getting to a less dirty industrial to a more white collar industrial, and then it's got that residential punching into it, which is a bit gritty. Pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I think it's good things. I think it's good things ahead. And yes, there's going to be two sides to the story. There always is. Not everyone loves development, but unfortunately, it's progress and it's coming.
It's got to be done.
It will. Yeah.
And also, I think there's an encouragement for affordability. If you don't bring in new building to an area, it puts a lot of pressure on affordability for rents, for people to rent something at a cheaper level and to buy something at a cheaper level. So there needs to be, people do want to stay in those suburbs that they were brought up in. So often they'll just keep paying more and more and more, and it just becomes too expensive to live. So there is almost a bit of a responsibility of the government to always address affordability for rental accommodation and for purchasing, and for that they need to drop stuff in the grid. High level numbers are that there's about 105,000 properties on the northern beaches, and when the Brookvale thing is done, that's 1,300, right?
It's not a lot.
100. It's 1,000 on 100,000. So it's about 1% change to the overall numbers of the suburb. You know, it would help affordability, and it won't hurt the suburb in terms of people's values going down on their property.
No, 100%. Exciting times ahead, but a lot of this is still a few years out, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like it's happening tomorrow. The proposal's available. I think I heard on a video. I mean, even if a developer got a green light today to build something, Mark, we see, you know, what are the turnarounds from DA to 2-year turnaround. So that would be, if it was all green light today, you're talking 2024, 25 potentially, 25. And again, it's not all done in one step, so it's all staged. And I think it's a lot of things out there. But if I'm a property owner in Brookvale, I would embrace it. It is going to improve your property values. It will improve the desirability of the area. I think if I'm an investor in Brookvale, definitely, you know, hey, if I'm looking to buy some commercial property in those zones, might be a good idea. Just with what's going to happen. If you want to make some serious money, buy an industrial property in Brookvale. I think that's out what I've seen from this structural plan. They are the clearest winners. Those guys going from 2-story to 4 stories. That's just, it's bonkers. That's some really nice. If anything, if you are a landowner in that area and you can buy an adjoining block, I think it was 56 Orchard Street coming on the market at the moment. You know, adjoining landowners want to jump on that, because if you once you get that rezoning come through, that's massive. Yeah, mate, awesome. It'll be great. But look, the Northern Beaches, this is just so people understand as well, it's not Northern Beaches Council behind it. It's a state government initiative that approaches local councils because they need to deliver more property as the population grows. So don't harass Northern Beaches Council too much. They'll obviously try to make it fit.
He's a good guy.
They'll make it fit in with what they can.
Now, if anyone wants a copy of this paper that was approved by council, take down this number. Steve, can you write this number in comments?
Oh, I don't know how to, but I'll do my best.
Have a go, Steve. Have a go. Okay. Write this number down. You sure you don't know how?
Oh, I think I've worked it out. Let me know.
Got it?
Fire away.
0460 111. If you SMS, just press enter. You got too many ones, mate.
0460 111.
Press enter. Yeah. Okay, that number that's come up. If you SMS the word Brookvale to that number, we will send you the paper. So SMS the word Brookvale, we will send you the paper the council had on Wednesday night that they approved. Now that's going to go up for public exhibition, gazetted, go into the local environment plan. So it could happen as much as six months away or 9 months away. It could be longer again. We don't know where there's councils. That's pretty interesting.
Nice. But exciting times for the beaches. Again, guys, if we can help you with it, Mark and I here at Novak Properties. Again, we've got our finger on the pulse, residential, commercial, throughout that whole sector, and exciting times.
Oh, look at those messages coming through. All right.
I hope I did it right.
I got them coming through now.
Great.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, everyone. Hope we helped you about Brookvale.
We'll see you soon in the world of real estate as well.
All right, man. Thanks, Steve.
See you
You're a
guys.
legend.
Have a good night. Thanks, bud. See you soon.